What is up YouTube? It's your boy Alex here from Team Generations, back again with another deck profile. Today we're going to be looking at one 4V Premium, and the clan that I actually really have come around to liking a lot more as of recent, and a new promo card did come out for it, so we're going to be taking a look again at Yatagarasu with the new promo. So obviously right now this deck isn't seeing a lot of play in general, but I think with this new promo card it might pop up here and there. We're in a pretty weird spot with Steam Maidens just not being banned out for whatever reason, so overall it is pretty difficult to play anything else but that, or maybe like one or two other kind of high rolly decks. But overall I am actually having a blast with this deck. I think once the meta kind of resets itself, this is actually a really strong deck in that you have both a defensive option and a offensive that are just like so easy to get off and very simple, kind of plus you a lot, so sets you up for the long game, gives you an aggressive kind of out if you want early. I personally really actually enjoyed this deck, and I think that it could do well in the right meta. So without further ado, let's hop right in and get started. And really quickly before we begin, I just wanted to mention that you do have a TCG player affiliate link down in the description below. You can shop that link absolutely no cost to you to help support the channel. I will never ask you guys for money or anything like that, or any kind of paid subscription, so that is definitely one way to help support us, so thank you in advance. Also, if you are enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like on the video, possibly consider subscribing to the channel, just as appreciated. Thank you guys so much. Over 1,500 subs now. So let's get started with the main deck profile. We are going to kick it off with 4 of the boss unit itself. We're going to be looking at 4 of the Yatagarasu. So Sunlight Goddess Yatagarasu did come out in one of the clan collections, and it's pretty cheap. It's really not too expensive. It's not, like I said, too prevalent in the meta, and I think this would kind of catch a lot of people off guard. They're not used to kind of the playstyle, what it does, things of that nature. So this guy over here, or this girl I should say, is auto on Vanguard Circle. When it attacks, you CB1 and Soul Blast 3, and based on the amount of grades that you Soul Blasted for this cost, you get to do various different things. So 5 or more, all your front row units get 10k, 7 or more, you choose 2 of your rear guards, and when you stand them, 9 or more, you draw 2 cards. So getting yourself some value out of the turn, potentially setting you up for the long haul, even if you do ride into this first, getting 5 attacks off. It's not grade 3 locked or anything like that, so you can just kind of aggress your opponent super early in this game. And then also just getting that extra 10k just really helps overall. So with the Heal Guardians, like, I understand that it can be difficult to kind of get over that, but with the extra 10k that you do apply, and if you are going first overall, you could potentially go into Force 1. I'll say go into Force 2 majority of the time, but overall you could go into that to kind of get over if you know your opponent has a Heal Guardian they've been saving in their hand. So just some kind of general gameplay tips there. And then lastly on this guy, auto on Vanguard Circle, when your unit is put on Guardian Circle, Soul Blast 3, and that unit gets an additional 10k shield until the end of battle, so making your dead cards potentially in hand have just a little bit more shield, because we do run a fair amount of grade 3s in this deck in general. So overall I'm very happy with this card. I think this is like a well-designed card overall, aside from like maybe not the full extent of the first effect isn't grade 3 locked, but it's not really doing anything in the meta right now, so I guess it's not that big of a deal. But if you want to aggress early and just ride into that first, that can totally be your first ride target. We do have one additional one also, and I'll go over that in just a second. But as a support grade 3, never want to ride this, but this is going to be Spiritualist Sorcerer Kroot. Kroot is both a great and it's kind of a dangerous card in a way, because its skill auto when this guy is placed on Van or Rearguard Circle, we soul charge 1 for each of your units. So if you have 3-4 different things on board, you aggress your opponent early in the early game. A lot of the cards do disappear to kind of limit this skill in a way, and I'll show you that in just a moment. But at the same time, you could threaten a deck out of yourself with this, so be very conscious of when you're using this. Make sure you're setting up correctly. This also works in really well with the next card we will go over, and some other ones in general. Like, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So 4 of those, we definitely just do need the soul charge. I find like cutting that down to 3 can work, but at certain times I don't see it when I just really need to, and I've gone into like a huge play the turn before I need to bounce back with that guy. That guy is definitely the guy that you need. So I'm running 4 personally. You can trim it to 3, but that's just my ratio. Lastly over here, just an alternate ride target. This is really not bad if you are going first. This is going to be Goddess of Good Luck Fortuna, so I think it came out the set right before this. But act on Vanguard Circle once per turn. We counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1 or more cards, and look at the same number of cards from the top of our deck as the number of the Soul Blasted units for this cost. Put them onto the top of your deck in any order. So kind of like a little Oracle think tank thing going on here. Soul Blast a bunch, just rig the top of your deck. You can then soul charge them off of Kroot. There's other things that can help you draw into it, other things that can help you soul charge, whatever it might be. So a lot of synergies in this deck that are just A, really simple to pull off, and B, kind of not intricate, but just a little bit more involved. So I feel like this deck almost has like a pretty high ceiling while still having a pretty high floor as well. Just pretty simple, all things considered, to just get this off and rig and go for some crit triggers on your opponent and rip them up. So second skill over here, auto on Vanguard Circle. When this unit attacks, choose any number of your rear guards and soul charge 1 for each of the chosen units. So if you do need to set up for your next Yatagarasu turn, you just pop the skill off you get to soul charge a bunch, and it's really pretty simple overall. And then lastly, this is really the defensive aspect of this turn, of this card over here. Auto on Vanguard circle once per turn. When a trigger unit is revealed for your damage check, you get an imaginary gift force, so you always have to remember to kind of get that off, because on your Yatagarasu turn, if you're going to go force 2, you get 2 force 2 markers just by riding this. Essentially, you ride into Yatagarasu, you got 3, so your whole board at that point in the game, if you survive that long, should be swinging for lethal. They should be at 3-4 like every single check, plus you're rigging the top of your deck too to a certain extent, so this actually can come in big clutch. So just make sure you're rigging so that you can hit a defensive on your opponent's turn, because this is not when you hit it offensively, it's just defensive. Next up over here, we're going to go into the grade 2s now, moving right along, so 10 grade 3s. We're going to be running 4 of the Strongbow of the Starry Night Ulysses, so Ulysses is still, you know, pretty relevant, just a good card overall. Its card has been out forever, but its skill at the end of the battle, this guy attacked a Vanguard on rearguard circle, put this into your soul, draw a card, and soul charge 1, so stacking your soul up twice and drawing a card, again, just letting you kind of push through and maybe get some key pieces that you need, also setting up your soul a little bit later on, so very easy overall to kind of get this into your soul, and then just aggress and make sure your opponent is really at that dangerous point for them. So I still like this guy. 4 of right there, pretty much always pop it off when I can, so yeah. Next up here, looking at the new promo card, really the card that changed things up in general in this deck. I just think the deck plays so much better with it overall. Mythic Snake Jurgman, or something like that, I think. Continues when this card would be Soul Blasted for the cost of your Vanguard's ability. You may Soul Blast this cost from, like, it could be a 0 to 3, so this pretty much becomes a grade 3 when you're blasting it out for Yatagarasu, which is super nice, making it so much easier to kind of hit that 9k. You'll be surprised how much more often you're going to hit that 9k because of this. And then also auto on rearguard circle. When your card is put from your soul to your drop during your battle phase, we counterblast 1, draw a card. This guy gets an additional 5k until the end of turn for each grade of the card put into drop, so you choose one of the cards from my understanding, not all of them. I'm pretty sure that's how it works, correct me if I'm wrong, but choose a grade 3 when you pop it out of soul if this is on rear. You're going to then go get an additional 15k on top of the 10k that Yatagarasu gives you, so that's a 35k swinger right there. On a force 2, doing that twice, you know, unless they hit like a trigger or 2, whatever, it's a pretty decent number overall, especially if it's boosted too, kind of gets a little bit higher. And again, your opponent can be in kind of like a funny state by the time you're really ready to go live with this over here, so I really do like this card. I think that it, again, gains power, lets you draw, gets soul blasted for the appropriate cost that we really want it to be, so I really do like this. I don't think they're expensive, they just came out. The V promos haven't really been too expensive overall, and this is kind of like an overlooked kind of clan build in general, so yeah, I don't think it'll be too much. Next up over here, still running 2 of Venus Witch Repler. So this guy's skill, when this guy is placed on rearguard circle, you may put a card from your drop into your soul, which is always good, just healing up your soul, whatever it is. Auto on rearguard circle once per turn. When this unit attacks, if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, counterblast 1, choose one of your units, and until the end of battle, you copy both the power and the crit that that unit got from trigger. So if you don't have like a full board of let's say force 2 or whatever it is, you know, you put the crit on your side over there, you can then, or just whatever unit in general, you can just counterblast, steal that. I think it's good enough at a 2 of. I feel like it still kind of helps you keep up the threat and just make sure that you are lethal on your second grade 3 turn, because that's really where you have to close out the game, in my opinion. Past that, it starts getting a little thin in the deck. You know, you start running out of, not triggers and stuff, but hopefully you've rigged them to the point where like your opponent really can't keep up. So keeping 2 of these in here are really nice. Next up, getting into the grade 1, still an oldie but goldie at this point. I feel like it's been out forever now, but it's actually more recent. But Apple Witch Cider, again, just we've gotten this in Overdress actually too. That's why I'm like remembering it as fresher. But auto on rearguard circle, at the end of the battle, this unit boosted, you may soul charge 1, and then return this unit to your hand, or you soul charge 2. So if you're not afraid of them picking off your board, you get to soul charge 2, do whatever you want. Otherwise, get the 10k back in hand. That's fine. Call this down again. No big deal at all. When this unit is placed on Guardian Circle, put a card from your hand into your soul, and this unit gets an additional 5k shield until the end of battle for every 3 cards in your soul. So if your soul is super stacked, pop this down. This could easily become like a 20-25k shield. Really not too hard at all. Obviously, we are soul blasting quite a bit over here, but at the times where you don't need it, you can just pop this down and save yourself a lot of trouble. So I like this. Helps you aggress early, helps you get back to your hand, helps you soul charge, does everything the deck really wants to. Next up over here for our other 4 of in the grade 1s, just 4 of the Mythic Beast Skull. So Skull is a top 5 searcher. Nothing really more to say about that. Search top 5 cards of your deck, add a grade 3 to hand, and then discard 1 card from your hand if you did add to hand. Shuffle the rest back into deck, and then its second skill, Vanna Rear. During your turn, if cards were soul blasted for your unit's cost this turn, this guy gets an additional 5k. So super easy 5k to get off, really going live almost every turn except maybe your grade 2 overall, but I think it's pretty cool. I do definitely like this a lot. Need to see your grade 3s in this deck. Next up over here too, we are going to be looking at 2 of the Witch of Origins Valencia. So Valencia is good for obvious reasons, but I think it really is your saving grace in certain matchups. So let's go over the skill first. But auto, when this card is put into your drop from your in your main phase, you bind this card, choose 2 cards from your drop, put 1 card from among them into your soul, and 1 card from among them to the bottom of your deck. Auto on rearguard circle, at the end of battle, this unit boosted, cost put 2 rearguards in the same column as this unit into your soul, and you draw a card. So again, fueling your soul, which is really good. If you want to aggress early, get that extra what is it extra draw off, like totally go for it. That is all good and dandy. This is really good though to late game for certain matchups where they need to see things on board. So, you know, I guess Narukami's not too popular anymore, but Chaos Breaker, this is like a definite need. Like, you need to basically vacate your board, your front row, so you're not locked out. If you're locked out, you're just going to lose the game. So overall, it is pretty useful in the right situation. I think I might bump this. I just have to test that out a little bit more, but I've still been rocking with this other card over here. This, again, I think was a promo. I'm not sure if it got reprinted, but I know this is in the V tournament series or whatever it was. Congratulations printing. White Witch of Revelation Fertita. So Fertita, when your Vanguard attacks, rest this unit, look the top card off your deck, put it onto the top of your deck or into your soul. And if you put it into your soul, one of your units get an additional 5k until the end of turn. So this really helps you in 2 different ways. Firstly, with the new promo, if you are going to draw a card, you can rig the top of your deck. On the grade 3 turn, if you are going to use Elixirs to put this into your soul, draw that card, soul charge, whatever, you can choose kind of what you soul charge, put it to the top or bottom of your deck. Just helps you a little bit more. And in a deck where we don't have like a triple drive or like a restanding Vanguard necessarily, it's good to just scry at least 1 ahead to kind of get maybe the jump on our opponent, give them a little extra 5k boost, helping you hit maybe some magic numbers overall. So I do personally like this card, but you know, it's up to you. This is more of like a flex spot right here. I won't lie and say that it's not. I'm definitely trying this out still, and I do like it. I think that it has more uses now than it did in my original build, so I just kind of kept it in. So it's there at that 2 of. Lastly over here, just the 1 of, and again, this can be kind of substituted for that Fertita over there because it's just generically really strong overall. White Brush Witch Arctic, auto on Vanna rearguard circle, 1 place, look at 2 cards from the top of your deck, put 1 card from among them into your soul, 1 card from among them onto the top of your deck. Its second skill, auto on rearguard circle once per turn. When you grade 3 or greater Vanguard attacks, one of your Vanguards, this unit gets 5k until the end of turn. So helps you hit magic numbers, helps you just rig your deck again. And in the late game where you're not really doing that on the original Yatagarasu, the Fortuna, if you're not rigging it from that, like you're scrying, your rigging kind of like ends at a certain point. So these couple grade 1s help you kind of keep that live. And then lastly over here for a starter, it's just my personal favorite starter for the clan, Pan of New Style. And then let's hop into the triggers. Really no surprise over here, starting off with the Heal Guardians, we are looking at the grade 3 ones. Just like I said, no surprise, if you soul charge these, they are at least a grade 3, so you're not really losing out here. There's no synergy with that witch name like in some of the other Genesis decks overall. 8 crit, just because we do need to stay pretty lethal. 8 is the appropriate number, I think. And then to carry us into the late game, I know some people have been running actually like crit triggers in general in Genesis, and I think that's not incorrect in this build. However, I might split 2 and 2, but for right now I'm just trying the 4 of. I don't think we deck out as fast as some other builds in general, and you can really control at a certain point how much you do soul charge and whatnot. So I think the PGs are really necessary in a Steam Maiden matchup. That's the only reason I'm like considering potentially having another 2 crits in there. It could help you, or it could give them a little bit too much resources. Colossus is out of the game, so it's not as bad to have a PG in your hand necessarily. So this is the lineup, very straightforward and standard. Let's get into a test hand. I'll show you guys how the deck kind of plays out. Alright, let's shuffle up over here and get started. Overall, this is a really fun deck. I feel like in the right hands, it definitely could go pretty far. There are opportunities to kind of misplay and kind of like not have the most ideal or optimal kind of lines of play ever, but I think with the new promo, it does open it up a lot more and it makes it a lot easier definitely than it was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, that's 5. I feel like previously you almost needed to see Fortuna. In this one, you don't necessarily need to. So I'm going to put back 1, 2, and 3. 3 of these right here. Going to search for a grade 2, hopefully the right one. Let's go 1. All right, nice. We do get it 2 and then 3. So we got a nice little ride chain here actually. So I'm not too upset about that. Let's see what else we can pull off in this turn. So we're going to pretend we go first like we do in all of our test hand videos to make it a little bit easier. We're going to stand and draw right here. Nice. We got an even better grade 1 ride target because I definitely don't want to really ride on top of the Cider Witch. I'm going to search the top 5 off of the searcher. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know what? I'm actually going to keep this in hand. There's nothing I really want to discard at the moment. +2. Soul charging the grade 3s off of Kroot and whatnot is pretty decent. Like we already have the card in our hands. We don't at this point in the game, I don't feel like we really need a second one, so let's proceed to our opponent's turn now. We're going to just, boom, power. All right, shuts them off. Stand and draw right there. So right now we are going to actually ride into this. We are next up going to call this down. I'm going to call this as well, and let's go ahead and proceed. So we're going to go and swing in 10k to my opponent. Nothing. This is going to be an 18k right here. At the end of the battle, let's go. Let's not fear like a retire at this point. We're going to soul charge 2, keep it on the board. Of course, it's 2 triggers. Why wouldn't it be? At the end over here, I'm going to put this into our soul, draw a card, and then soul charge 1. So we draw a card here, and then we soul charge 1. So cool. We end up getting the Yatagarasu. Wow, we actually got another grade 3. We automatically have our first full-on Yatagarasu skill in our soul already, so we're going to pass it over to our opponent. We're going to take a damage for their turn. It's just 1 Kroot. Maybe we'll guard like 1 more thing, and that'll be that. We go ahead and stand and draw now. So we are going to go ahead and ride the Yatagarasu. I'm going to pretend I do force. I'm going to go force 2 here, let's say. I'm just going to put on a little bit more pressure, because they are on grade 2, and again, depending on if you've seen them get a heal guardian, things like that, you can go force 1. It's not the wrong call necessarily in this deck, but I'm going to call this down. I'm going to search top 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could put a grade 3. I'm just, again, going to leave that. Don't really need that. That is fine at the moment. There we go. I feel like these are good like when you need to find the stuff. Otherwise, like, I like to kind of keep my grade 3s in deck. I'm going to call this down. I'm also going to call this one down. So let's go ahead and soul charge 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's check out what we soul charge off of Kroot. And nothing too great, but overall we could kind of use this at a certain point in the game. Could be all right, but let's go ahead and what else? Is there anything else that we want to? We're just going to call this right there. And I think, let's actually call this behind. I think, nah, let's keep that. I could call down the Yatagarasu, but let's just push inwards. Doesn't really matter. We'll swing at maybe a rear guard or something that they had. That's fine. 8k. We're going to swing in 13k at our opponent's Vanguard, and then we're going to swing over here. We are going to counterblast 1. We are going to soul blast 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And is there anything else that I want? Let's go 7, 8, 9. Now I'm just going to draw the 2 cards, because I definitely need a little more card draw in my hand at this moment. I'm also going to then draw these 2 cards, 1 and 2, and then I'm also going to skill. Look at the top card of my deck. I'm going to rest this guy, look at the top card of our deck, and then put it into the top of our deck or our soul, and then give our Vanguard plus 10k if it's into our soul, or 5k if it's into our soul. We're going to put it into our soul there, and let's give it 5k. So when we swing over here, this is actually going to be a 28k, so it's a little bit harder to guard thanks to our card in the back right here. And then we are going to restand these 1 and 2. You could activate that one first based on like the draw, which is fine. I think that overall I like the extending the drive checks a little more. 1 and 2. Let's go crit power over here, let's say over here. So this is now a 28. This is going to be a 23k plus this 8k in the back. So let's go ahead 28, and let's see, we're going to punish them a little bit more, and then let's just soul charge 1 off of this. There we are. We did soul charge a grade 3. Unfortunately it was a heal, but we're going to bounce this back to our hand, and we're going to pass it over to our opponent. And that's kind of the idea. You do it again and again and again. Restanding twice on a force 2 marker is good. You always have the option to then go into a Fortuna a little bit later too in our soul. Right now, what do we have? We have a decent amount. I mean, maybe we can get some more grade 3s in later, because we have a lot in the deck in general. So that's kind of the game plan. If you don't think you can do it, you can go into a Fortuna turn as a kind of a break ride, but even just restanding, getting the 2 10ks on it is pretty good overall. So that is kind of the idea of the deck. I hope you guys did enjoy and see how easy it is to really get that off live the first turn, and we have a pretty defensive hand off of that too, starting with just 2 cards when we enter the battle phase. So I really like it. I think it is decent overall. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comments below. And again, if you're interested in purchasing any of the cards that you see here today, do have a TCG player affiliate link down in the description, and you can go shop that link, absolutely no cost to you. Help support the channel. So thank you so much in advance. This is Alex from Team Generations signing out.